Welcome back to the Piping Pastor. Be cracking another new tin today. This is going to be Vertical Limit by Cascadia. So this is plug tobacco. It's meant to be a plug tobacco. We'll see how close to plug it is. Sometimes some manufacturers, who shall remain nameless, market tobacco as a plug. If I can get this off there. When in reality, it's more like a cake or a crumble cake. So we'll see what they have. But, no history report. This is a new 10. So, okay, and let's see how Cascadia does. Okay, here we go. There is the plug. All right. It's very, very floral. This is meant to be Virginia, Burley, and Darkfire, Kentucky. So I was hoping for a really, really dark tobacco, which it's not bad, but there's quite a bit of bright bits in there. Looks like, and I mean I'm getting a lot of earthy notes, a lot of dark stone fruit, molasses. Yeah, there's some sweetness and darkness there, but I would not call this a plug either. I mean it's a dense cake, but you can see, I mean, it's already starting to pull apart at the end. Plugs should not do that. If Peterson's Perfect Plug, the 3Ps, that's a good plug. I mean, it's solid and dense, and you slice it and it comes out. This I can already tell. The moisture content is pretty good. But again, it's more cake-like than plug-like, and I know this is going to peel when I start to slice it. But in any case, I'm going to slice some of this out and then let it dry for a bit, and we'll be back. And we are back. So I prepared the plug, or cake, actually, and it held together pretty well, but I was also holding it pretty tight while I was cutting it. So again, I prefer it to be a bit more dense, but what have you. So first light there. And I gave this about 20 minutes of drying time, because it was, as a cake or a plug should be, it was moist. The whole reason for that format of tobacco preservation is to preserve moisture. All right, let's get into it. What I'm hoping for is something dark, but I was hoping for the same thing with Indaba and was disappointed. So we'll see what happens with this. Original impressions are, it's not bad. I changed mic, so I gotta make sure this one's working. Still haven't refilled my Zippo yet. No reason other than laziness. It's just I've got Bics here in the drawer in my side table. It's just easier. It's a nice Virginia balance. You'd expect that Burley and the Darkfire would kind of run rush shot over the Virginias, and they don't. Needed more drying time though, obviously. This is pretty good. I've never had this before, so. But I like Virginia mixes with Burley and Kentucky. So yeah, it's nice. But again, I have a Virginia Burley mixture and a Virginia Kentucky mixture that I already go to. But for me are perfect, which is King's Highway and George's Dragon. But I always like experimenting with other, mixtures of that sort. And this one here particularly, because it was not just Virginia Burley or just Virginia Kentucky, it was Virginia Burley Kentucky, which to me sounds like a winter blend. And you know what? Yeah, I really do like this. So for me, rating scale wise, this is a would buy again. Doesn't reach cellar status. For me, that's a really high mark because I have no intention of being one of these people that has like 1,000 tins of tobacco in their cellar that they're going to have to like will to their grandchildren. Did a whole video on mortality in tobacco cellars. But keeping a good rotation and having several years of age on different blends, I think is good. And so I do keep some room for that. And if I have a blend that rises to the level of Cellarane, I'll let you know. This is more like a Zulu or a Poison or something I like, enjoy, and would buy again, but wouldn't sell it. So, 106 degrees here at El Paso. As we get back into our Poetry in the Bible series. Now, this book, it's Winter Words by Thomas Hardy. So it's a collection of Thomas Hardy's poetry. Not the most uplifting of writers. A little dark and depressing. But what I like about this copy, I found this in a bookstore, a used bookstore outside of Washington, D.C. several years ago. And this copy was purchased by a man named Charles Thomas in the summer of 1935 in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Now, it doesn't say, I've never researched the person's name. But, there are some decent universities up that way. So perhaps this person worked there, because throughout the entire book are all these little commentaries, and he makes commentaries on rhyme and meter and verse and meaning and all these other different things that smacks of a poetry professor, or at least a professor in the English department. And so that's why I really enjoy this copy, because I can sit and read Hardy's works, and then I can also get these commentaries. Additionally, all of his commentary, as you can see, something you would not see too often nowadays, but was more common in the 1930s, he's writing in cursive. Beyond that, he's writing in cursive with a fountain pen. You can tell it's a fountain pen by the way the letters end and begin. But in any case, so this is a poem by Hardy called Thoughts at Midnight. Mankind, you dismay me when your shadows waylay me. Not by your splendors do you affray me, not as pretenders. To demonic keenness, not by your meanness, nor by your ill teachings, nor your false preachings, nor your banalities and immoralities, nor by your daring, nor sinister bearing, but by your madness, capping cool badness, acting like puppets under time's buffets, and superstitious and ambitious, moved by no wisdom, far sight or system, and led by sheer senseless and preciselessness into unreason and hideous self-treason. God look he on you, have mercy upon you. So there's this one section here that the Charles has commented on, where he writes philosophy, exclamation point. And that is acting like puppets under times buffets, in superstitious and ambitious, moved by no wisdom. Now, I'm not going to say Thomas Hardy was a theologian or a Christian of any sort, or that he espoused the benefits of following God, right, in any way whatsoever. But, as I mentioned before, sometimes truth outs regardless of the mouthpiece. And the revelation of God can come through just about anyone God chooses to reveal things through. And words have more length, depth, breadth, and power than we give them credit for. They're not just things we say. It's our method of communicating, and it's a method of God communicating to us. And so we can read things where someone may have had no idea what they were writing, or had an idea what they were writing, but not a full comprehension of it. And then, boom, we have some revelation. And I think that's especially true in poetry because it is an artistic expression of words. And in this, acting like puppets, under times buffets, in superstitious and ambitious, moved by no wisdom. So in this, Hardy's saying that other forces are controlling us, right? That we are kind of floating around the world, reacting to capitalism, reacting to materialism, reacting to popularity contest and things of that nature, and that all these things are moving us, but it's not wisdom. And he says, in superstitious and ambitious. So here he's kind of, kind of making a side swipe at religious doctrines, right, and superstitions and so forth. But he says, led by no wisdom, right? And then you go on, far-sighter system, led by sheer senseless and persistlessness into unreason. So, but here's the thing: moved by no wisdom. Wisdom in Greek is Sophia, and in Christian theology, the pre-incarnate Christ is often referred to as Sophia, as the exhibition of wisdom in the Old Testament before Christ was incarnate in the world. And true wisdom, of course, is knowledge and fear of God. And the only wisdom that is pure and unimpeachable, according to the Word of God, comes from God. So yes, people who are not led by wisdom are puppets of the world. And they are led by superstitions and ambitions. So superstitions, I'm not talking about like voodoo, that would, things of that nature would certainly count. What I'm referring to, superstitions, as in the idea that more money makes you more happy, and more possessions equals more success, and more influence equals a greater legacy. Those are the modern incarnation of what we refer to as superstition. You might as well be thinking about casting spells. But if we are truly led by wisdom, that is to say, the wisdom that comes from above, which is pure and peaceful and open to reason, which is God's wisdom, then we are not puppets to superstition, but rather we are our own agents, acting within God's plan, being blessed in the ability to share in God's plan, and then it's not senseless. Then it's wisdom. So, but I was thinking about this book and the poetry in the Bible series, and I thought it might be fun to go over the next few videos and go through some of those poems and commentaries that old Charles had written. And maybe I'll even try researching him and seeing if I can find out more about him, because he makes some interesting insights in there, and there's a lot of notes, and it's a lot of fun stuff to reach back almost 100 years to the original owner of this book and what their thoughts were, and bring it out here, 90 years later, in a completely different section of the country, under a completely different format that he probably could never even envision when he wrote those comments, and kind of expanding that and sharing it with you all. So that will be our theme for the next few videos. So hope you have a lovely week. As always, happy reading.